Good morning. This is Hyperwave. I'm Leah here with Tyler Jenks. It is Friday the 13th, but we're going to be giving you fun, good news. So it's not going to be a bad juju day. So with that said, we're going to be talking about the crazy price action recently in Bitcoin. I'm going to try to demystify that and what's going on, and also GBTC, which we haven't talked about for a bit. And it's having very interesting moves and a lot of interesting news there. So without further ado, Mr. Tyler Jenks, happy Friday.
Great. Happy Friday to you, Leah, and to everybody else. We're going to get through this very quickly. Just looking at three charts, all of them refer to the tweets that I sent out this morning. A bit of a cautionary tale, just in terms of my belief that we are still in a long-term downtrend in Bitcoin and GBTC, and in an intermediate term downtrend in both of them, and clearly a short-term, very short-term uptrend. And the question is, how big is that short-term uptrend and what can we expect? So we're just going to look at three charts, and I apologize, I'm going back to Bitcoin Wisdom, but I'll also pull up a GBTC chart on Big Charts. It used to be called Big Charts. So without further ado, let's do it. So the first chart we're going to look at is the big one, the all the way up and all the way down Hyperwave chart. I've only got one line in there, which should be a dotted line because it's no longer a Hyperwave phase 3 line. It is now a trend line. Someone pointed that out this morning on Twitter. It's not going to go away. It's going to sit there, but it is no longer a Hyperwave phase line because it's broken. It's like a magic wand that was a stick and loses all of its power. It's still a stick, but it's no longer a magic wand. What you're looking at is just very simple lines, which on a weekly chart is a 7-week moving average and a 30-week moving average. Here we have the death cross. And here we have the breaking of the phase 3 line, which now makes it a stick. And you can hit somebody with a stick, and a stick in terms of being a trend line will provide a little bit of overhead resistance, but don't expect it to do much going back to the upside. So what you're looking at, let's just make this a little bit bigger and move this over so we can concentrate on what's going on recently. The price is below both the long and the short-term moving average. The short-term moving average is moving down and the price is below it. The long-term moving average is still moving up, but is flattening out. That would provide a lot of overhead resistance anyway. But specifically, that because we are now have no more support from the old phase 3 stick, and that comes in, by the way, at around $8,700 and will go up by $135 next week after Sunday's close. So just looking at the chart, this is a downtrend. The intermediate term starts here, and this is a downtrend. The long term, which starts all the way back here, was in a tremendous uptrend that is no longer valid, regardless of how you draw lines. And I'm not talking about hyperwave lines. I'm talking about any kind of trend lines or parabolic lines. we are no longer in that uptrend. We are in this downtrend. And that continues until a number of things happen, and we're not close to any of those happening. So that's why I said what I did this morning. Let's look at a much shorter term. This is the daily chart, and this is what all the excitement is over. 2 days, basically, of activity, simply snapping back to overhead resistance. In this case, we're looking at a daily chart with the same parameters that we just saw on the weekly chart in terms of the overhead resistance, the short term moving down, the long term still moving up. We built a very nice base along here at around the $6,500 to $7,000 level. Enough of a base that after the RSI bottomed out, allowed for any excuse to move back up into the resistance area. So as of today, that's all we have, and thus my tweets. Now, I want to mention one thing. I also tweeted out this morning that I strongly urge everyone to go to Hyjin Lee's last 10 Bitcoin vlogs. He does podcasts or vlogs on 20 different cryptocurrencies. The only ones I'm really interested at this point are the Bitcoin ones, and the last 10 are fascinating for a number of reasons. One, he's intermixing pure Elliott wave with a number of other pattern techniques having to do with fractals. And certainly fractals are a part of Elliott wave because Elliott is based on Fibonacci relationships. But if you just go through those vlogs, they're all very short, and just string them together, you'll see he's coming to a very different conclusion than I am. And a couple of people on Twitter this morning criticized, saying, yeah, I follow Hyjin Lee, and he says we're breaking out and we're going to go to all new time highs. Terrific. That's why I want you to watch it. I've already come to conclusions using my systems. Anyone else coming to the same conclusions that I have to are not helpful to me at this point. What is helpful to me are those that are coming to different conclusions using very strong techniques that they are very accomplished at using. That's what I need. That's what I want. That's what I look for. What I look for are the counterpoints so I can consider them when talking to you about my observations of the current situation. So I am telling you, consider what he is saying, look at it, and draw your own conclusions. My conclusions are the ones that I am now stating. Now, in terms of GBTC, I made another tweet this morning because I'm confused about GBTC, and I have been for some time. I have said on a number of occasions that to me, GBTC is leading Bitcoin prices, both up and down. And I don't have an explanation for that. It should not be that way. It should be the opposite way. So I call it the tail wagging the dog. The tail is GBTC and the dog is Bitcoin. GBTC is only made up of Bitcoin. Therefore, whatever Bitcoin does, GBTC should do. It does not. It often leads moves in Bitcoin, and it did the last couple of days. The day before the big sprint up in prices in Bitcoin, GBTC was strong that day, and Bitcoin had been weak. The next day, after GBTC closed and Bitcoin kept trading, Bitcoin caught up with GBTC, as if the players in Bitcoin were following or are the same people that are in GBTC. And they must be pretty big and pretty powerful to do what they are doing. If anybody has any more of an explanation and knows the inner workings of players in GBTC, I would be very interested to hear what you have to say, either directly or indirectly through Twitter. You can send us messages at our various locations that are posted on both YouTube and Twitter. So here is the GBTC chart, clearly in a downtrend, the same as Bitcoin, clearly below both moving averages, clearly below the death cross, and therefore all my conclusions are the same. Also, you can see I haven't drawn in the line, but you've seen it before. This to me is a phase 2 line that was broken back here 3 weeks ago. And so it never made it to a phase 3, and it is now breaking down from that regardless of the last 2 days. So with that, I promised I wouldn't take more than about 15 minutes, but I wanted to be very clear on where we stand. And I will go back to Leah.
Tyler, you did it in less than 15 minutes.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, everybody, thank you so much. Happy Friday, and thanks for watching.
Great. Thank you. Bye-bye.